All right. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you being here for our in-service. As always, I think you have, but make sure everybody signs in so you get credit for attending and you get a chance to win a door prize. And also, if you could please put your phones on silence or turn them off so they don't disrupt the presenters today. We're very blessed to have James DeBorgia and Enrique De Luna is going to do the in-service on personal protective equipment to keep us all healthy and safe. And then after that, we have some announcements and celebrations and door prizes. And so we look forward to continuing the momentum with our great team. And so Mr. James DeBorgia, come on down, good sir. You like to move around.
I do. I like to move around. All right, everybody. Did everybody get lunch? Yeah. I can see that Z monster on people's shoulders today. You know, I already see the neck bobbing. You know. But anyways, welcome. It's that time of the year again. Remember, I do 2 classes a year. We do fire protection, safety, and personal protective equipment safety also, okay? And then I'll do my presentation, my portion, and then Enrique De Luna, the Adon, Assistant Director of Nursing, will follow me to brief the healthcare portion of, okay? Which is great because he is the subject matter expert on healthcare, personal protective equipment, so that'd be great for all the healthcare folks. Okay. All right, what is PPE? We know what it means already, all right? So PPE minimizes exposure to workplace hazards. You know, like examples are gloves, safety glasses, face shields, aprons, non-slip shoes, et cetera, okay? All right, let's go through like a few incidents, you know, that's occurred in the past so we can kind of see, you know, why PPE is very important. Okay, this one happened in 2019. It's a restaurant kitchen burn. The date of the incident is March 21st, 2019. Location, the Corey Kitchen and Spears. Is that here in San Antonio? Corey Kitchen? Possibly. Okay, so what happened? The kitchen employee was emptying hot cooking grease from a deep fryer into a 5-gallon pot. While carrying the pot across the kitchen about 15 feet, he tripped on the improperly placed anti-slip mat, okay? The pot tipped and the hot grease splashed onto his arms and face. Okay, so the gentleman suffered injuries, okay? The worker suffered 1st, 2nd, and 3rd-degree burns to his arms and face and was hospitalized for treatments, which included wound care. So you can imagine, you know, grease, can't go back from that. Not gonna be handsome anymore. All right, so like I said, you know, it's really look at this. You know, this is 2nd-degree burns, this is 3rd-degree burns. Okay, all because the individual wasn't wearing, you know, the proper PPE. You know, like I said, be mindful of what's around you, especially the kitchen folks. You know, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of people inside the kitchen. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of traffic. So just be careful when you're inside the kitchen cooking, or maybe moving around, and going through your transitions. Okay. All right, another one. Miss Shirley Cookie Brown, okay? All right, slipped on a liquid substance later identified as a spilled beverage while shopping at Costco. I go to Costco, I love that place, you know what I mean? Warehouse in Louisiana, okay? The spill was a main aisle at the store, okay? What happened? She slipped on a puddle that had been cleaned up, that has not been cleaned up. Okay, so the footage showed that it's been on there for several minutes. Okay, the store employee had inspected the area shortly before the incident, but did not notice the spill. So what happened? She slipped, she fell. What happened? She broke a hip, you know what I mean? Oh, she fractured a hip, I'm sorry. So now she has ongoing mobility issues, you know, especially here. You want to translate that from Costco to here. What do we have here? Compromised residents, right? You know what I mean? So we got to make sure the areas around, you know, where residents could possibly fall and slip are cleaned up properly. So if you see an area that has water, please report it immediately, please, okay? But you don't want residents to get hurt, or you guys, staff, you know what I mean? Staff to get hurt for sure. And then, you know, wearing some non-slip shoes would also help beneficial to this particular incident, but again, non-slip shoes are limited to what? The kitchen, does housekeeping wear non-slip shoes? Is that a requirement? Okay, it's a housekeeping also, We don't wear that in maintenance. Right, guys? We wear manly boots, right? Okay, gotcha. All right, so there goes her hip, you know what I mean? Now she needs a hip replacement, possibly. Okay, moving on. One last incident. This is an eye injury, all right? 2020, an employee at a metal finishing manufacturing facility suffered a severe chemical burn to the eye, okay, while cleaning industrial equipment. The worker was using a highly corrosive cleaning solution containing sodium chloride. Sodium chloride burns, you know what I mean? Okay, the employee was not wearing required chemical splash goggles, okay? While transferring the cleaning solution, the liquid splashed into his eye. The eye station was present in the facility, but the worker did not flush his eye immediately. So you get something in your eye, you have to flush your eye immediately, okay? Because you just never know. There's eye wash stations on the second floor. Does everybody know what that is? If you don't, come see me. Lakeside has them. Healthcare has them, okay? So they're all over the community, okay? If you can't find the eye wash station, okay, go to your nearest sink and turn on the faucet, okay? Cold water, not hot water, okay? And then flush your eye out. But make sure the eye that's injured is on the bottom, not on the top. Not on the top, because what happens if you wash out the injured eye and you're this way? It's going to go from where? That's right. So now you're walking around blind like a zombie, right? Okay, we don't want that. Okay, so so the injury had chemical burn in his cornea. He had partial vision loss in the affected eye, and it required hospitalization. And how do you say that word right there? There you go. Thank you very much. If I had some, the little bucket of candy, I'll hook you up, like I always do. That's what it looks like now, okay? So that's the problem. See, you don't want to look like this guy, okay? So I'm just saying, you want to look like, wear your goggles, wear your protective eyewear, okay? And you won't look like this guy. All right. All right, dining services, okay? Common hazards for dining services are what? Hot surfaces, sharp objects, slippery floors, and chemical cleaners. Look at all these celebrities up here. Are they here? Look at that celebrity. James, what's his name? Pasquale. Beautiful people up here, beautiful people, okay. So slippery floors, chemical cleaners, okay, these are all the common hazards for dining services, okay? Typically, PPE includes gloves, heat cut resistant gloves, of course, and the aprons, hair restraints, and non-slip footwear, okay? Facilities. Okay, they're quiet today. They must be working them too hard today. All right, common hazards are electrical exposure, debris, falling debris, chemical exposures, loud noise, and sharp objects, okay? So typically, we would use safety glasses, work gloves, steel-toe boots, hard hats, and hearing protection. Housekeeping. Are we here? Let's hear it. Okay. All right, common hazards for housekeeping, chemical disinfectant, biohazards, yeah, that's pretty, okay. Slip strips, dust, and contaminants exposure, okay. Disposable gloves, masks, eye protection, aprons, and non-slip footwear is the typical PPE for housekeeping. Edward's a painter, but I had to put him on there because he just posed really well for me. So he's still in housekeeping, though, you know what I mean? All right, okay. So what's the PPE process, okay? What we do is we eliminate the hazard, okay? And then we utilize, the utilization of PPE is very important, okay? So you find a task at hand. So you have your mission, right? You have your mission, just like in the military. Okay, what's our mission? Okay, this is what we do. Go out there and beat up some insurgents or something, I don't know. And then what's the exposure, What is the exposure? What's gonna cause you to get injured during your mission or your task, okay? And then once you find out what the exposure is, then you figure out what type of PPE you're going to utilize, okay? Use these three processes and you should be good to go. All right, eye protection, again, this is what they look like. Okay, 60% of workers who suffered injuries were not wearing eye protection, okay? So you have your face mask, glasses, goggles, okay? It's good for flying particles, liquid chemicals, gases and vapors, and potential biohazards, okay? Hand protection, okay? Very important. Latex gloves are for chemicals, detergents, alcohols, biohazards, and viruses and bacteria. Leather gloves are good for sparks, heat, impacts, chips, and rough objects. And synthetic gloves, heat, cold, and abrasive resistance. I think that's what you guys use in dining. Okay, steel-toed boots, very important, you know. Safety shoes, non-slip shoes, and non-conductive. These are all the prime examples. Okay, we normally don't wear this, but when we had that CDP campus development plan, we had a lot of construction here. So it's a requirement for us to wear hard hats anytime we entered a construction zone, okay? So, but if you are working on certain things, you know, I don't care if you're in dining services, there's stuff hanging out in the ceiling. Maybe you should put a hard hat on while you're cooking or something, I don't know. Just kidding. Okay. Hearing protection, very important. The National Institute of Occupational Health Safety and Health, OSHA, estimates that 30 million workers are exposed to hazardous noise, okay? Repeated exposures can lead to permanent tinnitus and or hearing loss. I have tinnitus and I have hearing loss from the military. You know what I mean? I can't hear. So when you talk to me and I ignore you, it doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. I just can't hear you. You know what I mean? Most of the time. Respiratory protection. Edward here? Is he here? You use that? Yeah, he uses it. Oh, he doesn't need it. Okay. No, not really, but you should be using, if you're painting or using certain chemicals that require respiratory protection, you should be having these on, okay? I think this is my last slide, so I'll be followed by Enrique. So Enrique is going to talk about the healthcare portion of PPE, okay? But again, who's the safety officer? Everybody, right? So if you see something unsafe, what do we do? Report it, right? Or address that individual. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Enrique.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, as a little bit difference about what we use personal protective equipment in other departments and healthcare, we do use personal protective equipment to protect ourselves and others from things that we don't see. We cannot see, like microbes, germs, anything that you cannot see, but you know the person may have. And how do we do that is by protecting ourselves with using PPE as well. And I have it over here. Want to make sure that we protect ourselves. And the first is the PPE in the first step. What is the first step we do need to have when we use PPE? I have two volunteers here. I have, please, Robert and Jerome. Jerome is going to be hold the whole personal protective equipment on our infection, where it's residence and isolation, because there's different types of procedures that we need to do. One side, that's good. You want to do the, very good. Okay. Whichever you want. Let's see. So we're going to have, well, let's see. You're going to have this one. This is your sign. This is your sign, and this is your sign. Difference, what would be the difference between when you go into an isolation room? A lot of us go into healthcare. Can be you guys, and then in the department, once in a while, you go there to visit some of our residents, and you see a sign out. And it'll be, perhaps it says contact precautions. You want to make sure that you do what it says there. You will make sure that you have, before you enter the rooms, you will protect yourself. And you will see a caddy outside the room in isolation. If the residents are in isolation, you will see a caddy with personal protective equipment outside the room. Whereas when you have someone in enhanced repercussions, you will see the sign too, but you don't need to use the whole gear. But if you are going to be there in the room touching the resident and you see that sign, you will find our personal protective equipment in the bathroom, the caddy in the bathroom. That will also will remind you that you need to wash your hands, sanitize your hands before you put on your personal protective equipment. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and first. We start with a gown. Actually, I gotta mention this. There is certain different types of different ways to wear personal protective equipment. Well, we actually adopted one, so that way we're all consistent. So what they're gonna do is consistent to what we do here in healthcare. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to put on is you are going to sanitize your hands. You sanitize your hands with a more than 70% alcohol-based hand sanitizer. And remember, when you sanitize your hands, you gotta make sure to pay attention to your thumbs, fingers, in between your fingers, making sure that the sanitizer dissipates, that dries out by rubbing it, by rubbing your hands. Don't do this. Don't do that either. That's not gonna help. It's gonna get more germs on it. You gotta make sure that the germs are killed. Now, after you sanitize your hands, you start by putting on your gown. You're gonna wear your gown. Remember, we're gonna do in sequence. Our gowns have a hole in the sleeve. At the end of the sleeve has a hole, and it's a purpose for the hole. And we'll see what is the purpose of it. Always remembering that the back and the ties are always clean. Okay, just remember that. Okay, you gotta go ahead and tie it. I always say that this is the only time that you can have a helper tying the ties if you're outside the room. Otherwise, if you're inside the room, you're done. You have to do it yourself. Okay. Now, what is next? What do you think is next? What is it? Mask. Okay. Got a mask in there. Do both need a mask? That's a question. One is isolation, one is enhanced repercussions. You do need a mask. Okay, okay, and he does not need a mask. Okay, he's enhanced repercussions. Okay. What else does the person in isolation that's going to an isolation room needs? Does. Especially if the resident is coughing up or is on isolation because of air coughing up or in COVID-19. Okay. So now what do both need? Gloves, yes. So you're gonna have your gloves in here. No, he has his own here. He uses a different one. Okay, and you see how they put their thumbs through the holes, and that will pull the glove up to the sleeve, so that way your sleeve is not unprotected, and to make sure that the sleeves, the wrists are protected, and then that way it's more protection. Okay, very good. So now you have a person that is going to go to a resident that is in isolation, And you will have, once again, the PPE outside the room with the sign. Please ask the nurse what do I need to put on when I go to that room, because you may not need to have the face shield. Very good. But you probably need to have the mask and gloves and the rest. Okay, so please ask the nurse before you enter. Now, with enhanced weather precautions, you're going to make sure that you actually will have to go to provide cares for a resident. You do not need to wear any of this personal protective equipment when you are just going to go in the room to say hi. But if you are going to be touching any of the resident, or you are going to be changing the resident, you need to make sure to wear it if that sign is outside the room. Okay, so it's on now. Now we're going to do the inverse. We're going to take them off, doff it. Okay, we're going to doff the personal protective equipment, take it off. So we start from last, goes out first. Okay, what personal protective equipment they put on last? Gloves. So that goes off first. Okay, gotta make sure that you do from here, from the palm out, from the palm. You're gonna no, from the palm, from here. You gonna see? Take this off. No, you gotta take it off. Okay. Okay, doc. And cuff it, and you can dispose of it over here. Okay, you can dispose of it. It should be disposed in the trash can, of course. Then what else? Face shield. Now you're going to only touch the headband, isn't it? Don't touch the shield itself. The ties or now, what else? I'm going to just put it. Mask. Yeah. Once again, touch the ties only. Okay, because the other part is contaminated. Okay, go ahead and dispose of it. Now, for both, you are going to take off what? Gown. You start from the back. Don't touch the front, because remember that the front is contaminated. Okay. When you take it off, you can rip it. That's fine. No problem. You make sure, then remember that back is always clean, unless you went there to the restaurant like that. So no, that's not it. Okay, you sandwich it and put it. You dispose of it on the either if it's contaminated with blood or body fluids, you put it in a red bag, hazardous waste bag. If not, it goes in the regular trash. Okay. You have any questions? Nope, no questions. When do we use the full PPE?
When interacting with residents?
Yes, if you go into a room that is actually says isolation, residents in isolation, before I enter, I will put my personal protective equipment. Yes, very good. You had a question.
I think he answered it because I work in a kitchen and I don't really handle the residents like how, say, you would. So would the PPE also apply to me since I work in a kitchen?
The only time that it will work or it will apply to you is that if you will go into a resident's room to visit. Any time you go to healthcare or maybe also assisted living, actually, if you go to assisted living, to a resident assisted living that is in isolation, it's always important to follow the instructions on what is the sign says. If this sign says isolation, backwards. It says isolation, contact precautions. That's what you will do before you enter, because it's to protect yourself and to protect the resident. Same as you will with the enhanced very precautions. The enhanced very precautions are actually to protect the resident from us, from any germs that we bring to them. Okay. So.
The dining, they also wear it to protect themselves from burns and certain cutting glove and eye goggles from spills and splashes of hot cooking grease.
Oh, a different type of PPE. You will use the appropriate PPE for your department, of course. This is just a healthcare for the most part. If you go to a healthcare room that has these signs, you will probably you want to follow those. Okay. Question and other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Your computer shut down. There was nothing else you needed on that? No, probably not. No. Let me see what's the last of these. I think his computer shut down, so I was just flipping through the rest of these. But it's a good question you asked. I think James hit on previously all the different departments that have different kinds of PPE. This infection is specifically for healthcare, but like in your area, gloves, eye goggles for grease and spillage, and I know you have cutting knives that where the gloves protect your hands and those kind of things. And I think he went through that with maintenance. They have different types and housekeeping. So thanks to our volunteers too, Jerome and Robert. We appreciate it. Hard to get up in front of everyone, so a good round of applause. And we're going to kind of go through some announcements, but any new hires that have joined us in the last 30 days, if you could please stand up. New team members? None here yet. Here we are. All right, Becca. All right, welcome, welcome. Glad y'all joined us. Don't be shy. You made a great choice, so we're pleased you're here. We're going to talk about anniversary dates of 10 years plus that we achieved in February. We'll start with Joe Garcia in facilities, 10 years. I think I see Joe in here today. We have Sylvia Perez in the beauty salon, 10 years. Yay, stand up, big 10 years. Hooah. Congratulations. Bernice Osai in healthcare, 12 years. Bernice. Henry Astorga in security, 12 years. Henry, I thought I saw him earlier. Maybe we'll get him at 2 o'clock. Clementina Sandoval, 15 years in housekeeping. Please stand if you're in here. Patricia Gonzalez, 28 years in housekeeping. And then we're going to have to do a standing ovation for this one, but Samoan Smith, 39 years in February. As of the 16th, 39 years. That's a high bar to achieve, and you started about the time the doors open. Because you guys, we opened in January of 1987, so next year we're going to be celebrating 40 years, and I think Sam is one of them that's going to carry us into the 40th year, so awesome. Also, Tabitha, I'm going to call her out, Tabitha Cuevas, 6 years today, one of our directors. Okay, I want to congratulate Carrie Mendez. She got accepted into a master's program at Texas State University, and it is Public Health Education and Promotion. So right up her alley, and we all benefit from her lectures, her expertise, the residents and the staff, so congratulations. We wish you a lot of luck. Also recognize our incredible sales team. We're having a great year. We had 5 sales in the month of January. I know Crystal Duran's in here, Brandy. You guys, Terry, John, the whole crew, we're really having a phenomenal year, and we need that. And just earlier today, the residents were voting on eligibility to live at the Ark, okay? And about 69% approval rating, they voted to expand eligibility to all populations that could live here that meet financial and medical eligibility. So what's going to happen now, it goes to the board of directors, they're going to vote, and if it gets approved, then we're going to really expand who we serve here locally, and folks from the general public will be able to move here as long as they meet the other criteria. So it's really going to help us get our occupancy up into the mid-90s or upper, and really make sure that it's going to be a great place long into the future. Has a lot to do with our financial stability and future. So really excited about all the work we've done to try to educate the residents and the board and each other about why it makes sense to expand. We're only one of 2 in the whole nation right now that have that kind of a restriction, and it's harder and harder to find those folks. So we're excited about growing our family and serving even more people and making the Ark, super strong well into the future. So that's great news. And we should know, hopefully within the next week or so, whether that gets approved, but it's going to be a great one. We also want to recognize Ethan Martinez. Are you in here, Ethan? He's getting promoted from security to IT. So I don't see him at this session. Maybe we'll catch him at 2 o'clock, but we always work hard to try to promote from within when we can, and so we want to celebrate Ethan. All right. Stephanie, you want to come up and assist me with the Alita Longoria Spirit Award for the month of February? Somebody give me a drum roll. Drum roll. Enrique De Luna. Come on up, man. Enrique. Trainer extraordinaire, kind person, mentor, educator. He's done training on CPR, Heimlich maneuver. We know we're saving people's lives in the dining room because of this great training. Get a little moolah and a great certificate. Congratulations, huh? He exhibits the kind of skills and values and attributes we want here at the Ark. So thank you, Enrique. Keep up the great work. Okay. I also want to recognize everybody and thank you all who's working on the Matrix Care 360 software conversion. It affects our financial, our clinical software, and it's really an intense conversion. It's supposed to go live March 1st, which is Sunday. It's right upon us. So really thanks to IT and healthcare and finance and resident services. Those are the primary ones impacted. But we're looking forward to that going live Monday. And where's Cindy? Is she in here? She's probably dealing with that. And Lisa, I know you're having some fun with Ilmex 360. Okay. As we wind down, ladies and gentlemen, before the drawings, just we're winding down February, so if you get a chance to go to the rodeo, I think Sunday's Family Day, and it's the last day of the rodeo, so try to hit that if you can. Going to be a busy March with Mardi Gras and St. Patrick's Day, and the Kiwanis Club has their big Monte Carlo night during spring break. I think it's the 12th, but they're going to raise money for scholarships, and last year they gave out about $45,000 in scholarships, primarily to ARC employees and your dependents. So if you can buy a ticket, try to do that, or donate a little money to the Kiwanis, and that's their only fundraiser they have each year. So with that, we're going to do some birthday drawings and then door prizes.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. I just have one announcement. So March the 6th is National Employee Appreciation Day, and we know we have the best employees here at the ARC, right? Yeah, so we want to celebrate you all. So we're going to have the massage chairs back. They'll be in the yay! They'll be in the healthcare entrance from 7:30 to 3:30. And we ask you all to join us, and we'll have some good snacks for you all, too. So we look forward to celebrating with you all.
Thanks for coordinating that. All right, I think that's it. Let's wind down February positively and make it a great day, all right? Happy Tuesday. See you later. Stay out of trouble.